When Queen Elizabeth II passed away at her Scottish residence on September 8th of this year, she held a few records. One being the longest reigning monarch in British history. One other was for holding the longest verified reign of any female monarch in history. But despite living to the old age of 96, the late Queen was not the longest living member of the British royal family. In fact, she only stands at 5th place within the rank. As you already read in the title, in today's video we will look at a list of the longest living members of the British royal family and see who outlived Queen Elizabeth II. But to make it a bit more interesting, we will also look on who stands right behind the late Queen in the list. A short notice before we jump into the video. This list also contains blood members of the British royal family, but also people that married into the British royal family. At number 9 we have Princess Augusta of Hesse-Kassel. Born a German princess and Landgravine, Augusta became a member of the British royal family through her marriage to Prince Adolphus, the Duke of Cambridge. She was born in 1797 to her father, Prince Frederick of Hesse-Kassel, and Princess Caroline of Nassau-Usingen. Through her father, Augusta descended from King George II of Great Britain, with his daughter Mary being her grandmother. Augusta married her second cousin, Prince Adolphus, in 1818. After her marriage, she was known as the Duchess of Cambridge. With Adolphus, she lived in Hanover, where he served as Viceroy of the Kingdom of Hanover. Later, the couple and their 3 children moved back to the United Kingdom. One of their daughters was Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, who was the mother of the future Queen Mary. Augusta died in 1889, aged 91, 39 years after her husband. Living only 5 days longer than Augusta, we have Princess Louise at number 8. Louise was the 6th child of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. She was born inside Buckingham Palace in 1848. She received the same strict education her other siblings had received, but young Louise did not mind that. In fact, she was described as an intelligent and talented child. She especially excelled in arts, which later plays a big role in her legacy. Louise was widely regarded as Queen Victoria's most beautiful daughter, and with her position as the daughter of the Queen, she had many suitors. Louise lastly married someone more powerful than many thought she would. She married John Campbell, the 9th Duke of Argyll. Their marriage remained childless, and John died in 1914. Louise spent her last years at Kensington Palace until she died at the age of 91 on December 4, 1939. A fun fact here, the statue of Queen Victoria which you find in front of Kensington Palace was crafted by Louise. Louise in fact shares number 8 with her younger brother, Prince Arthur. Arthur was born in 1850 as the 3rd son of Queen Victoria. He reportedly soon became the Queen's favorite child. From an early age on, Arthur had great interest in the military, and so it is no surprise that he attended the Royal Military College. This was the foundation for his almost lifelong military career. In 1879, Arthur married Princess Louise Margaret of Prussia. The couple went on to have 2 daughters and 1 son. Arthur was appointed Governor-General of Canada by his nephew King George V in 1911. He therefore moved his wife and youngest daughter over to Canada, where he served in that position until 1916. After his time as Governor-General, Arthur made many public appearances on behalf of the royal family. In 1917, his wife Louise died of influenza, and in 1920, his daughter died while pregnant with her 6th child. Arthur continued his work on behalf of the crown until he retired in 1928. Arthur died on January 16, 1942, and was the last surviving son of Queen Victoria. At number 6, we have Princess Augusta of Cambridge. She was the daughter of Prince Adolphus and his wife, Princess Louise of Hesse-Kassel, who we covered earlier in this video. Her longevity therefore might come from her mother's genes. Despite being born in Hanover, Augusta received the title as British princess as she was a male-line granddaughter of a British monarch, the monarch in this case being George III. Augusta married her first cousin Frederick William of Mecklenburg-Strelitz in 1843 and therefore became hereditary Grand Duchess of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. The couple had 2 sons. Their first one sadly died within hours of his birth. Despite living in Germany, Augusta remained close ties to her British relatives throughout her long life. At the time of her death, on December 5, 1916, Augusta was the last surviving grandchild of King George III, and at that point she was the longest-lived member of the British royal family. At number 5, we have the late Queen Elizabeth II. There is much to say about her, but I will just mention the most important stations of her life. Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary of York was born on April 21, 1926 in London to her father, the later George VI, and his wife Elizabeth. She married her third cousin Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, with whom she had 4 children. Their eldest son became Charles III upon her death. Elizabeth became queen in 1952 after her father had suddenly passed away. Queen Elizabeth II became the longest reigning British monarch of all time on September 9, 2015, when she surpassed the 63-year-long reign of her great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. On February 6, 2022, the Queen reached her 70th year on the throne. The Jubilee celebrations were held in June of this year. She died on September 8, 2022 at the age of 96. At number 4, we have the longest-lived member of the British royal family by blood. Princess Alice was born on February 25, 1883 at Windsor Castle. Her father, Prince Leopold, was the youngest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Her father died of hemophilia when she was only 1 year old. Her father inherited the disease from his mother, Queen Victoria, and in fact passed it on to Alice, who was a carrier of the gene. In 1904, she married Prince Alexander of Teck, who was the brother-in-law of the future King George V. Together they had 3 children. Her husband served as Governor-General of Canada from 1940 to 1946. During this time, Alice stayed with him in Canada. Alice supported the war effort by serving as Honorary Commandant of the Women's Royal Canadian Naval Service, Honorary Air Commandant of the Royal Canadian Air Force Women's Division, and as President of the Nursing Division of the St. John Ambulance Brigade. Alice and her husband also welcomed many other European royals to Canada when they sought refuge during the war. The couple later moved back to London where they stayed at Kensington Palace. Princess Alice died there on January 3, 1981 at the incredible age of 97 years and 313 days. She was the last surviving grandchild of Queen Victoria. Number 3 belongs to the husband of Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip. Born a Prince of Greece and Denmark in 1921, he gave up his Greek and Danish titles in order to marry his third cousin, the then Princess Elizabeth of York. Philip by no means had an easy childhood. His parents were forced into exile a couple of times due to the political unrest in Greece. He spent most of his teenage years in the UK at the home of his grandmother. Upon his marriage to Elizabeth, Philip was created the Duke of Edinburgh. When Philip died at the age of 99 in 2022, he was the longest-served royal consort in history. At number 2, we have another person close to the late Queen Elizabeth. This time, it is her own mother who lived to an incredible age of 101, becoming the first centenarian within the British royal family. Born Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon in 1901, she became the Duchess of York upon her marriage to Prince Albert, the second son of King George V. The couple had 2 children together, Elizabeth, whom I just mentioned, and Margaret. Elizabeth became Queen Consort of the United Kingdom upon the abdication of her brother-in-law in 1936. Together with her husband, she became a symbol of the fight against fascism. By Hitler, she was called the most dangerous woman in Europe. Elizabeth died only a few weeks after her younger daughter Margaret in March 2002. At the time of her death, she was 101 years and 238 days old, becoming the longest-lived member of the British royal family up to that point. And now on to number 1 on this list. Here we find Princess Alice, the Duchess of Gloucester. Lady Alice Montagu Douglas Scott was born on December 25, 1901 in London. Alice was a descendant of King Charles II through an unbroken male line through his eldest illegitimate son. In 1935, Alice married Prince Henry, a son of King George V, in the private chapel at Buckingham Palace. After 2 miscarriages, Alice gave birth to 2 sons. The family lived in Canberra, Australia, where Prince Henry served as Governor-General. In 1972, their eldest son died in a plane crash. At that point, Prince Henry was in such bad health that Alice decided to not inform him about the death. Prince Henry died 2 years later. After the death of her sister-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Alice became the oldest living member of the royal family. On August 21, 2003, she surpassed the record of the Queen Mom as the oldest living person of the British royal family by surpassing the age of 101 years and 238 days. A month later, Alice was certified by Guinness World Records as the world's longest-lived royal of all time. The Duchess died a year later in October 2004 at the incredible age of 102 years and 309 days.